Hey, what's up everybody? Want to do a real fast video. I'm going to do this because I saw another video that a very popular, very high-end camera reviewer, I'm not going to use any names, made. And the words that this person said was that Fuji did not have the equivalent of an 85 or the equivalent of a 70-200 2.8. Man, I'm stunned. Okay, I must be whimsical because right here, I'm emptying out my bag from shooting a wedding yesterday, is a 70-200 2.8 equivalent. There it is, right there. It's the 50-140 2.8 stabilized lens, the equivalent of a 70-200, which is sitting right there. Those two lenses are the same field of view. This is a 2.8. This is a 2.8. Now, this is what I guess matters to this person because this is the only thing I can draw from it. A 2.8 lens. I don't give a shit if it's a 200 2.8, or I'm sorry, 70-200 2.8. I don't care if it's a 24-70 2.8. I don't care if it's a 16-35 2.8, a 200 2.8 prime, a 400 2.8, which is like a $10,000 or $12,000 lens. If I put that same lens onto my crop body, which is a 70-200, we'll say 70-200 on this crop body, 2.8, this camera is going to receive 2.8 light. The depth of field will be different. The view angle will be different. The angle of which the camera perceives the image coming through the lens will be different. So your field of view will be longer. You don't get more reach. You get a different field of view. But no matter what, you're getting 2.8 light onto this sensor. The same light that you would get onto this full frame body camera, only the field of view is what the lens truly is. So 70-200, 2.8 on this body. On this body, I believe that lens becomes like an 85 or something along those lines, or maybe a 90-320, but it's still a 2.8 lens. Okay? If I take this white Canon lens and put that lens onto this body, this lens does not give this body f4 light. What it does do is it hurts the depth of field. And when I say hurts, it ain't even really hurting it that bad. That creamy richness, dreamy bouquet that you would get on this body isn't as rich as you would get on this body. There's slightly more noise in this because it is a crop. So at higher ISO, you're going to see more noise and grain. Same thing, more or less, than you would on this body. Now, if I was going out and I was shooting for distance, sports, horses, aircraft, what else could I, football, baseball, any kind of sporting and racing, I would need a seriously large glass, which I have, to put on this, because you don't want to crop the hell out of this. You don't want to ruin the quality of it. This is an 18, I think it's an 18, maybe 16 megapixel camera. It's not very high, where this is slightly higher megapixel count. This is already giving you the crop. So what we're talking about is when you go on the computer and you hit that little crop button and you shorten the edges of the frame. Some people refer to as zooming in or enlarging it. You're cropping it, which is why they call these crop cameras. Smaller sensor, less field of view. Therefore, it gives you a, this is a terrible way to put it, a more reach kind of value. full frame gives you the equivalent of what the lens really is. So 70 to 200 on full frames really is 70 to 200. Gives you slightly nicer bokeh. It gives you cleaner, higher ISO values. It's things that to professionals really matter. Now, let's go to this guy here. This camera obviously is different than the other two because this is a 1.5 crop, which makes the sensor in this camera bigger than the sensor that's in this camera. 1.5 is actually slightly larger than 1.6. Oh God, how can I get the stupid off of me after watching this? So this guy says to me, and everybody else that's watching this video, that an 85mm equivalent for FujiFilm doesn't exist, even though it's sitting right here. 85mm 1.2 equivalent light right here. Depth of field more like a 1.8. So to sit there and say that it doesn't exist is just utterly false. Look at the size difference. That's one of the reasons why I added the Fuji system. I mean, look at that. This is an 85 1.4 with image stabilization, sitting next to a 56mm 1.2, which is an 85mm equivalent. This is stabilized lens, which is nice, but guess what? Fuji X-H1 has in-body stabilization, which means that this non-stabilized lens is now stabilized because the body has it. You know, I'm not a Fuji fanboy. I've been shooting Canon since the age of 11. I'm going to wrap this up really quick. But what really irks me and makes me mad is when somebody that's like a high-end professional camera reviewer gives bad information. I'm not a high-end camera reviewer, okay? And when I heard this stuff, I'm a guy that shoots in the field all the time. I know my gear. I know what I need. I know what I want. And to hear somebody educate people falsely, it just irks me. I don't like it. I hate it. I think it's harmful to new shooters because they go out and they buy stuff and they don't understand. And it's very distasteful. I feel like these people are being paid to say this stuff. Now, I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know what they get out of it. I really don't give a shit what they get out of it. I find it to be bad. I find it to be really bad. Light transmission has nothing to do with depth of field. Nothing. They're two separate entities. And when somebody tells me that, oh, well, the Fuji lens is the equivalent of a 70 to 200 f4, I almost want to throw up in my mouth because that's not true. 2.8 is 2.8 is 2.8. I don't care what body you put it on. That hole is allowing the same amount of light to hit that sensor. You can't stop a 2.8 lens from producing 2.8 light. It's an impossibility. It can't be done. If I took the most expensive 2.8 lens that's out there, which is the 400 2.8, which is like a $12,000 lens, that lens is going to put a 2.8 light on a crop body sensor as it would put on a full frame body sensor. The only thing that's going to change is the field of view, which some people refer to as reach. That's it. That's all it's going to do. Yeah, okay, the depth of field is going to be a little bit smoother, maybe a little thinner. But at that point, you're splitting hairs. If you've ever looked at like I have a 200 f2, for instance, that's like my favorite lens in the whole wide world, other than, where is it? This 35mm 1.4 that's back here. But when I hear someone say to me, well, if you put your expensive 200mm f2 on a crop camera, that's such a waste. I'm almost like stunned that somebody would even say that. Because basically what I'm getting is a 300 with the ability for that lens to gather f2 light And it's going to give me probably the equivalency of a 300-2.8 as far as depth of field goes. In all honesty, if I'm in an indoor situation and I need, well, we're going to say the word reach, because it's not even really reach, I'm going to have more light gathering capability to work with than somebody that would have like a 300-2.8 on a full frame body. So, I mean, you got to understand that there's drawbacks, there's balancing act. It's all like part of the equation. You got to understand that certain things work with certain things better than others. Photography, as I call it, it's give and take. You get a little, you lose a little. And that's the bottom line. All right, so I've got this off my chest now. I'm going to go, guys. I'll talk to you all again soon. Later.